Welcome. Also got a couple of our board trustees. Great to see Karen Clardy and Chris with you this morning. Welcome. All right, so we have a big event coming up here a little over a month. So October 2nd, Oktoberfest, Flagpole Hill. Carlin is going to come up and give a few words about Oktoberfest.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I think on the Patrick Brown countdown, we are some 36 days away from Oktoberfest. Days keep falling off the calendar. Everybody read the newsletter this week, correct?
Yeah.
Everyone? In the newsletter, there was a link to the sign-up genius for our volunteers. We need volunteers in order to make this event work. There will be another blast going out today. So please make sure you go on and sign up for as many spots as you possibly can. The second item is we are going to start asking for donations as Friends of Oktoberfest. So it's a $150 donation back to the club, and that will sign you up and help support our event. You will be listed as a Friend of Oktoberfest, and we're going to start opening it up today. All you got to do is reach out to myself or Patrick or Todd, or send something directly to Mr. Raby and ask him to ping your card for $150. That goes a long way to help everybody doing a small little amount. Really ramps it up in terms of raising sponsorship dollars. So please consider doing that to help us out. The crew's doing a great job. Sponsorship numbers are way up, but we need to get it over the top. So again, mark the calendar, sign up, and anybody got any big sponsors, last minute, throw them our way. Anything else?
We got some musical guests for this event? I thought I saw some.
Yeah, check the website. It's now updated. Yeah, we're having Sunvolt as the headliner this year. If you've never heard of them, they're kind of an old country fun times band. And another band called the Bandoliers. And then we've got a couple of other, Lake Highland School of Music is coming back with their
Run for cover.
Run for Cover. They're a lot of fun. And Taylor Dunn, Mr. Torres' contact, she is also coming to play with. So it's 4 great bands. We got some new ideas coming around to move around some of the Highlandettes and cheerleaders and other groups that are coming to perform to get them in front of a larger audience. So yeah, any other questions? All right, Prost.
Yeah, so as always, make sure if you're a social media individual to find the social media page, like it, share it, invite others to like it as well. We've got a push this year doing a little bit more on the marketing side to broaden our reach, so hopefully that'll pay off for us. So anything else, Oktoberfest, please reach out to Carlin or Patrick or Todd. So any other club news that I'm left off? All right, I will invite Bill Boyd up to introduce our guest this morning.
Thank you for that warm greeting. I think the first Friday morning your director of programs has actually been at since the summer started, so it's good to be here. So when I was getting up this morning and grabbing the speaker intro, I grabbed the one for what the hell is going on, which, while appropriate, is next week's topic, not this week's topic. So this is going to be a short intro. Dr. Stubb has been our superintendent since 2017. She's recently, and I have to get my notes on this one, has been named to the American Association of School Administrators American Rescue Plan Committee. I hope you don't use an acronym and write that out. Here to talk to us about the topic at hand, the continued dominance of Lake Highlands football. 1-0, baby. Dr. Stubb.
It was a good night last night for the Wildcats. Yeah, it was great. Was it North Mesquite, Justin? Poteets, where I used to be principal. So I was cheering for the Wildcats. Definitely. family. I was there for 20 years and I was cheering for the Wildcats. Well, good morning. Good to be back with all of y'all. Great to see the Lake Highlands team in the back. I've been with you every year, probably several times for over the last 7 years. I'm starting my 7th year here, and so this morning, after talking with Chris about kind of what we want to hear from, he said, don't do death by PowerPoints, first of all. He said, kind of hit on hot topics and things like that, but then leave time for questions. And so this morning we want to give you a brief overview of our opening of school. We're just finishing up week 2 of this school year. So I'll give you a brief overview of that. We want to talk to you a little bit about our academic acceleration plan, just about how we are going to be spending money to try to recover from our COVID. We're going into year 3 of COVID, but there's a lot of data out there that tells us that we've got a lot of makeup to do from learning from last year. Talk to you some about a hot topic of COVID-19 safety and mitigation. Just hit briefly on Lake Highlands Bond projects, how things are going here in your area. Any upcoming future engagement will be quick, and then I'll leave time for questions that you may have. And so, I don't have to tell you, how many of you have kids Does that happen every so often? Is that like a sign? Like just get cut off? Does somebody have a remote back there? No, how many of you have kids in our schools? Okay, so I probably don't have to tell you how it's going in the schools, because you're having your treasurers come home and to tell you about that. But we have had a great kickoff to the school year, being face to face for the majority of our students. So Tabitha, I do want to also, before I get going, introduce some of our staff who's here. They're here to just answer some questions that I may be able to answer, just to contribute some to this presentation. So Tabitha Branham, our Deputy Superintendent, is here. Sandra Hayes, who is all things facilities, bond, and everything to do with lots of different things in the district. She is here, our Assistant Superintendent for Operations. Melissa Heller, who may be a new face. Is this your first Exchange Club meeting? No? Okay, well, new position. She's over communications, but she's over strategy and engagement for the district, and so she's here. And then so pleased to see also who we consider members of our team, Karen and Justin, past president, and then of course our president, Karen, and now our member, Chris Poteet. So our opening of school. All right, so last week was our first week of in-person school. You were going to give me enrollment.
We are at, right now, 37,600.
Yeah, so 37,600 students, which is about 1,000 down from where we were projected to be, but it's up from where we were at this time last year. We still have a lot of our students that we're concerned that aren't in school right now, and it really is dependent upon what school, that your community that you're talking about. So, because we have a lot of our schools that enrollment is way up as well, and so, but we'll be working as we always do over the course of the first couple of months of school to try to contact families and to ensure that we get every one of our kids back in school. We have over 1,000 of our students who have chosen our virtual option. So those families right now are, for various reasons, have decided that they're not ready to send their kids back to school, and so they are learning through our virtual option, which we stood up, and very successfully had a very successful week this last week. So, really, we're in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic, and so this was a great time to come back and have our students, so many of them back face to face, which was great. And just love our schools in this community, and so grateful to have our kids back in school with us, because our number one goal is to have every student back in school learning face to face. We know that is critically important. I do have one slide, don't be afraid of it. I do have one slide that just I know that you can't read this, but this is a list of all of the different things that we are doing this year for our 2021-2022 academic acceleration plan. And there's a lot of things on there, but basically it says that we have a whole plan for how we're going to try to recover from the learning loss of last year. And I will give you, if you tuned in to one of our board meetings, we went into a lot of detail at our last board meeting about how we fared in terms of learning loss. You won't find a district that did not experience some type of learning loss, but out of all of the districts in Dallas County, I'll just give you one stat in terms of third grade reading. We'll take third grade reading. In terms of learning loss, Highland Park, Capel, Sunnyvale, then Richardson. And we were, we really fared really well across the board in our 3 through 8 accountability this last year, despite the fact that we had so many of our students who were learning virtually or all of the challenges of the learning loss. And so if you want to see more about that data, go on to our board meeting and you'll see lots of slides and things about that. But our whole goal this year is now to take that data, to see where every student is, and to work to do everything we can to catch them up and to get them where they should be. And there's a lot going on. So one more time for the educators in the back of the room. Who are diligently working. So every one of our campuses has an academic acceleration plan that they are working to meet the needs of every single student where they're coming back into school this year. We have a lot of our kids who were out virtually all last year. And so now they're coming back to us, and so there's a lot of acclimation of getting them back into learning. But that obviously is right there with safety and learning are number 1 and 2 goals, and they're probably right there, right together. So let's talk about our COVID-19 safety and mitigation. That has been something that obviously has been a challenge. We'll just put the elephant in the room. The elephant on my face, if you wanted me to. But no, this has been a time of some hard decisions, some tough decisions regarding how we're going to have kids back in school and how we're going to keep our students and families safe. And I'll tell you, and I'm just gonna be really open and transparent and just talk to you this morning. I hope this will be a conversation that we can have just between us. Not between us, because I know we're being filmed, and that's fine, which is fine. As we went into the summer, we thought that we were coming out of COVID. I think everybody did, and we were getting to a place right after graduation where masks were no longer mandatory. We took masks off. We made it optional over summer school. It truly was so wonderful to walk through our schools and see the faces of our kids and to have that experience. And then we all went through the summer planning that we were going to have a fairly normal year. It was really exuberating, if you want to know the truth. And we went to our conferences in June. We went to our conferences even in July without masks or anything like that. And I can remember when I heard the word Delta variant. And that's when started having to have lots of consultation, starting to get lots of calls and lots of meetings and everything. And so all of that together kind of conflated with our opening of school. And there's a lot going on. I know that you all know that, but this is just the thing that I had a conversation with Chris Poteet this last week, and he said, we talk a lot, and he's an engineer, and he likes to just sit down and talk things through, which is great. I don't know why that was a shot at engineers, I don't know, but he does. He's very thorough in wanting to understand things, which I really appreciate, because it does allow me to have these therapy sessions where I can talk through things. But one of the things that Chris said was, So explain to me about when you have to be called on to make the decision about masks, and you're allowed legally to make the decision about masks. How do you make that decision? It's just helpful for me to understand your thought process about that. And so this is what I explained to him. I said, I have a great opportunity every week to hear from the health officials from Richardson, the health officials from Dallas County. Day before yesterday, I was able to be put in contact with the head of the CDC for the head medical person for the CDC, the person who's over school for the United States of America, and on a short call, 13 people with the two of them. They're going over all their data and explaining everything to us, letting us ask questions, as well as so many doctors that are in our community that have written letters and have come and spoken to me, sent literally hundreds of emails explaining all of them. They have an MD after their name. And I said to Chris, when it comes down to whether or not that I have to make a call for 39,000 students on top of all the families that are also saying, I can't send my kid back to school if we're not in mask. I just can't. I mean, literally, I listened to all of that, and then I weigh that against my experience as a medical doctor, which I have none, and I have to make what I know based on my 32 years of experience of making decisions for kids, from a high school principal to all the positions that I've been. I draw on that experience of, do I listen to all of these medical professionals who've been making these calls, doing all of this? Do I listen to all of them, or do I say, you know what, I'm just not going to listen to them, and I'm going to make the call? So in consultation with our school board and all of that judgment and all of that medical advice that is in my ear almost daily, y'all, I make what I believe is the right call. And I know that that is difficult for a lot of people to understand or to trust or to not call what is called on a daily basis. Right now I have 10 emails that saying that I've made a political decision. I'm just saying to you as trusted people that are all are in this for the same reasons that I am, is to get back to the community and to serve kids. I see all that y'all do for kids and families, is for you to understand and that is the way that I make that decision, and that's it. I've never ever in my entire life made any decision for children, for families. It's a huge responsibility that I have in the leadership role that I've had in the classroom as a principal and now as the honor of being superintendent. Never in my life made one decision that was political. I don't even know how to do it. And you either believe that about me or you don't. And I know that a lot of people choose not to, but that's as honest and open as I can be to you, people that I trust. And I think we all share the same mission about what this right here is, and I pray that I make the right decision, and I ask for guidance that I'm making the right decision. But at the end of the day, that's what I feel in my heart, that I'm making the right decision. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that, because that is, if we're talking about COVID mitigation and protocols, this is the number one thing that is keeping all of our board very, very much in conversation right now. People trying to understand that. And when I explained that to Chris, he said, and it was about that same conversation that I just explained to him about how I go about making decisions. And it is difficult, but I feel very confident in making the decision, that decision. And I would explain it to Chris. Chris said, a lot of people don't know that. Like, a lot of people don't know how you go about that. So he invited me to just explain that to you all this morning, and so I do that with just transparency and a humble, and hopefully you will receive that with trust in my leadership, because that's really, at the end of the day, what I'm asking from everybody right now in these very, very difficult, troubling times. So I'll answer any other questions that you might have about, but you can go to our COVID website and you can find everything about all of the other things going on in our schools, but know that everything that you will find on that website is about keeping our kids in school and learning. From all of the things, a lot of the things you're gonna find on that website are required of us. So they're required by either TEA, or they're required by the CDC, or they're required by whomever, but a lot of the things, but everything that is about keeping kids safe. Let's talk about a lighter topic for a second, but happy to come back in just a minute and answer any questions about anything to do with COVID-19. Lake Highlands Bonds projects, I brought Sandra with me just so she can see, and to say thank you for your assistance, and there's several people in the room who are on our bond steering committee and who helped us to pass the bond last year, $750 million, an unprecedented amount for a bond, but we are now getting to see the benefits of it. And if you've been in, for example, Lake Highlands High School lately, it looks a little different. And that's because of our Bond 2016 and wrapping up that project. Now we're moving on across the district with major impact. I'll tell you this quick story about Alan Wong. So it was 6-7 years ago. It was one of my very first board meetings. And I was deputy superintendent at the time. At that time, there was a lot of conversation going on and about a long-range plan for the school district in terms of facilities and things like that. And I remember this is the first time I met Alan Wong. I need to fix that. He stood up in the back and he said, I'm not seeing that you have a long-range plan in terms of the school district. And he also said facilities, and he also said, and he also challenged that those decisions need to be made through an academic lens, not just through a financial facilities lens. And I remember thinking, who is this person? And then, but I remember like registering, like I think he's got something there. And so I remember that, and I remind him of that because I believe it was through that influence that in 2016, we started working on a strategic plan. And when we went into this bond planning process, we laid out a 20-year facility plan of how we would, in the next 10 years phase and then a 20-year phase, completely transform all of our facilities to be to where there's equity across our facilities. And so I'm really grateful. I think about that quite often because he called out something that needed to be said in terms of a true long-range plan. And so that's how we did this with this bond. You can see the projects that are there. There's a microphone, Sandra, at the table. Is there anything you want to highlight? Yes, you do. I know you were shaking your head no, but you really meant yes. No, just I know just some quick timelines about some of the projects.
Sure, certainly. So we're gonna break dirt at Lake Highlands Junior High and Forest Meadow Junior High in the spring of 2022. And those campuses are due to be complete and ready for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in August of 2024. And that'll be the first of our middle schools to open up. Stoltz Road would take place in the 3rd and 4th year of this existing bond in 2021. So around 2023, 24, we'll do some work at Stoltz Road. And that's really the environment inside the school. No new construction or new square footage there. And we're doing a lot of updates on our HVAC systems around our campuses. We're doing a lot of plumbing. We have a lot of infrastructure in our facility condition index that we did as part of our strategic plan. I identified a lot of our systems that need to be upgraded, so not anything real pretty, but things that we need in order to keep our schools functioning, so that's happening every day. And then the turf will start next spring at Lake Highlands, and Bergner and Richardson High School will start putting turf down for the baseball and softball fields.
Yep. So you may have some questions about that when I get to the end. Real quick, just want to tell you that we are about to launch a new strategic planning process in 2022 for our 2022 strategic plan, because this year we will wrap up our 5-year strategic plan. And it has been an amazing process where we have accomplished so much in the district because of this 5-year strategic plan. And now we're about to then need a new strategic plan. So here's what I'm inviting you all to do. What we will beginning to, we're at our next school board meeting in September 20th, we are going to be laying out our plan for our new strategic plan. There will be an opportunity for every single one of you in this room. Hopefully you will get engaged in one of our committees that will be formed. Because really what it is, it's about laying out the next 5 years for Richardson ISD, be it with facilities or HR or all the different areas that we work on strategically to plan for the future of the district. So that will be a huge, huge future upcoming engagement, and we're always sending y'all stuff, so we want y'all to stay involved. So I'm just gonna open it up. Look, I've left 15 minutes about 4 questions that you may have. I'm happy to take questions. Yes, sir.
I was curious, how many folks have opted not to advance grades this year? And the second question, I've been hearing about some school districts hiring a lot of folks to help with tutoring. I was wondering if Richardson was doing the same.
That's a great question. I love answering questions about learning. Yes, part of this, so I'll go back to this. Part of this academic acceleration plan lays out that, and I'm sorry you can't read this, but math and reading intervention, interventionists, $8 million allocated for that. Kindergarten and first grade support teachers, almost $6 million for that. Class size reduction and remediation, almost $10 million for that. And so as part of our response to learning loss that was experienced last year by our students, we received, what was the total number of ESSER funds that we received?
For ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, about $71 million.
Yeah, so about $71 million that came from the federal government for us to spend on recovery. And as it was mentioned, I'm representing Texas on the American Recovery Plan for education with our Secretary of Education for the United States. And I'm part of the committee and representing our state on looking at how we are bringing in extra tutors, how we are, what kind of intervention and work that is being done in schools for recovery. To your first question, which was about how many kids have changed, you want to give us the details on that, Tabitha? You have a microphone. You talk.
We really only had parents opt to really look at, it mainly occurred at our elementary level, and we had about 74 students across the district. We realized most of that in our pre-K and kinder. So students that were in pre-K last year and did not have the experience that they anticipated, they kept their student in pre-K, and then the other substantial number was in our kindergarten class. They were in kindergarten last year, again, we're virtual most of the year, and they wanted to experience kindergarten again.
How far off is that from the norm? Sorry.
The previous year, we had 4.
Significant.
Yes, sir.
I know on a national level, and I hate to get too political, but there's a lot of talk about CRT and transgender bathrooms and stuff. I wonder if you could just address all that.
I love that question. To give me an opportunity. No, I'm real serious. I do love that question. For a number of years, you've heard that Richardson ISD has talked about equity. We have a department for equity, diversity, and inclusion, number of staff members that are working for that. And since I've come to Richardson IC, I've talked about equity and talked about all means all. And in answer to your question about CRT, critical race theory, I didn't know anything about critical race theory until I think around this summer. And then the next board meeting, I was promoting it. So, and teaching it, and we're teaching it in our classrooms. And it's hard to persuade people, or not persuade, it's hard for people to understand that that is nothing that we're doing in terms of our equity work. Y'all are doing equity work. I'll tell you the equity work that you're doing that matches exactly the same type of equity work that we're doing. Whenever y'all are giving your scholarships, you identify specifically, you identify and target kids who live in poverty, who don't have as much as some of us might have, and you intentionally, specifically target ways to help them. You give them scholarships, you target them, you identify kids specifically that don't have as much as a lot of us have. That's equity work. That's giving more to the kids who need it. Now, there is a correlation between the kids oftentimes that you're helping and the color of their skin. A lot of times we're talking about our kids of color. And so in Richardson ISD, what we are doing is really the same thing as you were doing. This isn't a sales pitch, this is the truth. That we are identifying our students of color who need extra. Because our data shows, if you look at our data reveals that our students of color are oftentimes behind in terms of test scores. They're living in conditions of poverty. They're living in areas of crime. And so our work is about looking at our students, all of our students, and ensuring that every single one of them has what they need to be successful. It's centered around a lot about race because a lot of the kids that we are working to do more for have brown and black skin. And so that's centered around and challenged a lot of people about the work that we are doing. It doesn't have anything to do with, the whole notion about CRT has really gotten mixed up with people thinking that we're wanting people to feel guilty about the history of our ancestors, most of us in this room, and whiteness and a lot of things like that. I'm just speaking very openly of what the conversations that we're having. But most every single person that will come into my office and talk to me about their concerns about what they think, and I say that, think that we're doing in Richardson ISD related to CRT or any equity work, once they sit down and we have a conversation, they always will leave with not only a better understanding as to what we're doing, but an understanding of why. And I think that all of y'all are here this morning, you're here at this meeting, not for a good breakfast, or I know this, I know about this club. You are here to be able to come together to be, because you have a common purpose to help beyond just your family and just, your church or whatever. You really want to help this community. And so I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. I hope that I am. I hope that I'm dispelling any kind of thoughts that you have that we are in any ways trying to indoctrinate anyone, that anyone's race is bad. Here's the thing about critical race theory. A lot of people think that critical race theory is about being critical of the white race or about any race, and that it really isn't about that. Critical race theory is about critically thinking about the conditions in which race affects people and their outcome and their opportunities and living conditions and those kinds of things. And that's really all that we're doing in Richardson ISD is looking at that and trying to celebrate. We are the fourth most diverse district in the state of Texas. And what that tells us is that we have lots and lots and lots and lots of diversity, and lots and lots of culture and heritage. And so what we are doing is we are doing intentional efforts to celebrate everyone's culture and heritage and skin color. But at the end of the day, it really is about making sure that there is any kind of equity or achievement or opportunity gap. And so a lot of that has really, again, been challenged in terms of politics. But at the end of the day, it really is about serving, same thing, making a decision about whether or not we really mean when we say all means all, are we going to serve every single student in the district? And when we identify kids that need more, we're going to do more for them. I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
Transgender, I'm sorry, you didn't talk about transgender.
Okay, so yes, all right, so transgender, that's another, yeah, the softball from the back of the room. No, I really am happy to talk about that. I really am. Because our board did adopt an equity policy in 2019, and the equity policy that was adopted, it spells out and specifically lists our LGBTQ plus kids, that we have a lot of them in our schools, that says that we will make sure that this is their school too, and that they're not being discriminated against, and that they're not being harassed, and that there also are resources that they themselves too can connect with. And I know that this again conflates with a lot of religious beliefs. I get that, I understand that. But I, again, just as I'm not going to take the advice from the medical professionals and say, you know what, I'm gonna make a different decision. I have a religious faith myself, but that doesn't factor into my decisions. And so this policy that's outlined says that we will embrace and accept every student. And we have students, lots of them, y'all, lots of them, in our schools that identify as lesbian and gay and what the acronym stands for. And so we recently were up against some challenges last year because there are about, how many library books?
At the elementary level, we have about 15.
Yeah, there's about 15 total library books that are written at different levels, and they are literally out of the 10,000 books in our library that are written by children's authors, that are written to include, to make students who do already identify, and we have students who identify as gay and lesbian all of the acronyms, but there are students, and we love every single one of them. And so we have, again, I know this conflates with religious beliefs, but I have to leave my religious beliefs at the door and follow a policy that says that we will have resources in our schools that include every one of our students. And so that's, while yes, controversial and may go against probably a lot of people in this room, I never want to assume, but I know that there are probably some people in this room that conflates against your religious beliefs. But I have a policy that says that I will have resources in our schools to include and embrace every single one of our students. And we have a lot of gay and lesbian students. We have a gay and lesbian club at our high schools. And so these are a small number of resources that have drawn controversy. And all I can do is say we're just going to continue to love and support and provide resources to all of our students. I hope that helped. Albeit challenging sometimes. Yeah, I don't know who's first, yeah.
So I think it's vital what you've talked about, the bringing up, catch up, whatever term you want to use for what's happened over the last 18, 24 months. But also I'm curious how you guys are also at the same time working to push on the top end to give those who have the potential and just need to be challenged more and given, I don't want to say higher academic opportunity, but I think we need to be pushing on both sides of the equation. And I'm curious what we're investing to do so on that side of it, because there's tons of kids that need to catch up, and there's tons of kids that may be a little, I don't know if bored's the right word, but, you know, they're not being challenged as much as they perhaps could be.
Yeah, and that's a really great question, and we talk about that constantly, because the COVID, this pandemic, I believe, and you're gonna see this, and we're seeing this across, Tabitha and I were in a conversation just yesterday about this very topic, about how this really has put the spotlight and focus about how the floor, in terms of performance, has been lowered for a lot of our students. So, you know, as we're trying to close the gap, the floor is lowered, so we're now having to focus so much attention there. We have some things in our strategic plan that I'd love to have, again, maybe highlight some of the things that we were talking about just yesterday, and some of the things just to answer this question. What about our students that thrived and are thriving, and we want to make sure that we're not having too much focus on catch up for those who show far behind, and making sure that the kids who don't need that are thriving and excelling as well.
So one of the most important things that we implemented a year ago is an assessment called the Measure of Academic Progress, or MAP. If you're a parent, you've probably seen MAP. What is fantastic, I have a first grader who, as a first grader on MAP, he is testing at 3rd grade, both in math and reading. Math, he's almost at 4th grade. Why that assessment is important, because a typical first grade assessment that a student would take, it's going to top out at first grade skills. So as a teacher, I may not really know just how accelerated or how much additional enrichment a student may need, because the assessment instruments I had before MAP kind of hit that ceiling. Well, now with MAP, I immediately know, okay, not only can Kaysen, he's already at double, triple addition numbers, I know exactly where to take him and to grow him. The other shift that we made is our REACH GT program used to be pull out, where students only received enrichment 1 day a week. Well, kids aren't gifted 1 day a week. They're gifted every day. Students who are accelerated or need acceleration and need enrichment every single day. So we place, thanks to the support of Dr. Stone and the board, an accelerated learning teacher on every single campus. And their role is to do 2 things. One, they are supporting teachers in designing those lessons so that our 100% of our focus just isn't in how do we close the gap, but how do we continue to let other students soar. And then the second is they pull students and they do small student groups. So a student who needs more math, a student who needs more ELAR, a student who's passionate about science, they're doing small independent projects, and they're getting pulled multiple times in a week to ensure that they're growing. On the high school end, we have tripled the number of students that are sitting in either dual credit courses, AP courses, or on-ramps. And if you are not familiar with on-ramps, it's probably one of the most exciting courses, because a student can be sitting in a high school course. They are also receiving instruction from, and I know I'm an Aggie, but a University of Texas, it's hard for me to say it, a University of Texas professor, and the students are graduating with 3 hours of UT credit. Everything from chemistry to algebra 2 to pre-calculus. So again, students who are accelerated, they have that opportunity to go ahead and start that college work. And it is a well-respected transcript that's going to help transfer to any college that they apply to. So those are just a couple of things we're doing.
Yeah. But knowing, and it's a great question, and I register it, that while we are in this recovery phase, there are a lot of kids that thrive. In fact, y'all should know that a lot of our kids that were virtual all last year in high school outperformed our kids who were in school all day on their end-of-course exams, because virtual worked for them. They were able to focus in on that, and so we're in the process of studying that too. So how can we bring in some of the learning from this to help accelerate our kids? It doesn't need to be from everything that we're doing, and we talk about this all the time too. It does not need to be from a deficit model, but how can we accelerate? Because our mission statement is all students, all will connect, learn, grow, and succeed. Every single one, where they are, that we have a year pro. I'm happy to answer any questions, and trust me, my email box is open. No, thank you so much for, the last thing that I would say to you is, appreciation to our school board. I mean, it's a rough time for school boards. It's a rough time for superintendents, but it's also a rough time for school boards. People who signed up to serve and support and to do the right thing. Chris Poteet maybe cussing Justin Bono every once in a while, or just kind of giving him that nudge. But no, I'm so appreciative to our school board for how they're standing together in support of doing the right things for our kids as well. Please give them a round of applause.
All right, so on behalf of Shane's Club,
Yes.
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I was
My
told, so
favorite
it's
thing.
coffee, but then there's a koozie attachment. I was told. So thank you very much for being here and being open and honest with us. We do appreciate it, and thankful for the opportunity to have you here this morning. So, to wrap us up here, find your newsletter, open it. It comes out on Wednesday. There is a sign up genius. I did check. It is wide open at this point. So please, we do need help. That's how this event is successful. So take a look, sign up as much as you can. We'd love to see you all out there. With that, let's see, we've got, yes, sir. Oh, we will. 2 weeks from today, the 10th is our first Youth of the Month awards presentation. So put that on your calendar as well. You want to give me any information for next week other than the title?
No, I think the title is great. It's gonna be a fun topic. Please come out. So I'll give a little hint. So I gave our speaker a little bit more of our bio than I give to most people about what this club is, what we look like, how we're living, and I gave him the topic, what the hell is going on? And he gave me a wry smile and said, this will be fun. So,
All right, so come out for that next week. Any other news announcements that I have left? Anybody thought of? No? So you gonna lead us?
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of